Hey everyone, it's Can Sparkle once again. So, as you can notice, I'm gonna talk about My Little Pony. I may have done this quite some time before, like a couple of years ago, but I rather like to make a new one, sort of thing. So I hope you guys can understand that. So, so let's get to the point that I'm a huge fan of My Little Pony. So, for example, it's that you can always can tell by my own nickname, and you can easily can guess on which character that my nickname is based on. Twilight Sparkle. Yep, you got that right, guys. So let's just say that I've always been a huge fan of Twilight ever since. So it's been quite a long time that I have watched My Little Pony, and being a fan of it. So I've been a fan of Watch My Little Pony since 2014. Well, basically, first off, I have watched the Equestria Girls movie called The Rainbow Rocks sometimes before I watched some of the episodes of uh, well, season 4. But basically, I did start off watching season 1 first of all because I wanted to like get my brain to learn from the very beginning of the series. So I'm pretty sure you guys may agree with my point that you should always start with the very beginning of the season. Well, the media or the franchise or whatever you want to call it. So basically, like I've already said, that I have watched the Rainbow Rocks. Sometimes like months, something like I can't really count like how long it was been before I saw some of the episode of season 4. But the first episode I saw from season 4 was Twilight Time. If you remember the scene where Twilight was eating a burger, it looks like she's eating McDonald's. It just looks like Twilight's in McDonald's. Imagine bumping into Twilight or the rest of the characters from My Little Pony in McDonald's. I wouldn't imagine that. It would be going like crazy and people were like, how many ponies in there? So yeah, I guess you guys can always can think it's a bit too crazy if those ponies ever come to life in McDonald's. I wouldn't imagine that, baby. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's just say I've just been a fan since 2014. And I was only 13 at the time. Kind of because, well, you know. Okay, so it's not just Twilight Sparkle that I personally like from My Little Pony. I also like Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, Sweetie Belle, and Apple Bloom. Oh, and I also like Sunset Shimmer. She's really good. But I believe she was a villain in the very first Equestria movie. When I first watched that movie, I did kind of hate Sunset Shimmer in that movie. Well, sorry if I use that word, but sometimes I'm not really good at keeping my, those kind of harsh words to myself, but I'm pretty sure you guys can understand. And I also like Cadence. Yeah, Cadence. Princess Cadence or Dean Cadence from the Friendship Games. And I also like Flurry Heart. Well, you can guess that she's Princess Cadence's daughter. And I also like those 3 girls called the Dazzlings. Adagio Dazzle, Aurea Blaze, and Sonora Dogs. But I kind of have this sort of question. How come Aurea Blaze's name hasn't been mentioned in the Rainbow Rock? I mean, I think her name did kind of mention in the book version, but in the movie, no. I mean, it's kind of disappointing, really. But I don't really blame those who create that movie anyway. But I also like Trixie. You might remember her from, this The one who always go like, "I'm the greatest, powerful Trixie." And every time she keeps bragging about that, I was like, oh, come on. Seriously, Trixie? You're not the only pony who thinks you're powerful. Sheesh. Okay, I'm done. Okay, all I have to say that Trixie can be a pretty annoying. Yeah, she is. Well, she may not to you guys, but for me, I just think she can be a bit braggy. Yeah, braggy. Okay, but I also like Starlight Glimmer. You might remember her, but I believe she's been voiced by the same woman who was the original voice actor of Barbie. You might know who I'm talking about here, but I kind of like prefer her voice with Barbie the most. But I still like Starlight Glimmer no matter what. So and I also believe that she was also evil when she first came to the show from season 5. But she did kind of reformed in the later series from season 6. And it's kind of a good thing, right? Or same thing for Salted Shimmer. Is that a good thing? Well, for me, I think it's okay to be honest, because sometimes some villains can deserve to have like their own redemption. Well, sometimes not all villains, but it depends on what character it is. Like Chloe from Miraculous Ladybug, for example. And there's many other fans who like complains saying that Chloe does deserve to have redemption or she doesn't. But I would say it doesn't matter. She's just a character, so I don't know what's the big issue. Though that's what I'm saying. But we're not here to talk about Miraculous, are we? We're talking about My Little Pony. So My Little Pony has been on the screen since, well, on Hasbro Discovering Family. Well, Hasbro since 2010. I think it was the 12th of October 2010 it came out. That's how I remember it. And then, so it's been on since then. So, and then sadly, it's no longer on, well, Hasbro Discovering Family. So, let's just say it's kind of sad to be honest. But if you guys remember on some of my community posts that I mentioned that it's too soon or something like that they just cancelled this series like all of a sudden from season 9. I mean, it's kind of disappointing really, but it's okay if you guys think it's a good ending, but to me, I think it's just too soon. I wish they could have just kept the show like on for a long while. Let the characters grow up a bit, like, you know, say goodbye for the last time. I mean, I was sad when that last episode came out back in 2019. But I didn't cry or anything, but I was sad and disappointed. But I still miss my opinion, really. And, and to tell the truth, I did kind of still watch My Little Pony after that. But I also started to watch Miraculous Ladybug more often sometimes right now because, well, you guys might know what I mean. And so, like I said, I kind of starting to like Miraculous Ladybug a little more, but it doesn't mean I'm stopped watching My Little Pony. Sorry about that. It's just that the whole thing is that even though I still watch and like My Little Pony, it doesn't really that matter. Well, I'm not stressing out here or anything. It's just sometimes it can be like overthinking of what I'm trying to say, because like I keep saying, because I have this sort of thing, like can't get my words right and that. Ugh. But don't worry, because I understand that some of you may have the same thing, and I understand that. So some of you may have the same play as me. Okay. So, trying to think something else here. Oh, I remember something. You know when I mentioned that about me watching the Rainbow Walks before the actual show of My Little Pony in 2014? Well, it's just let's just say I remember that very time back in 2014 when Rainbow Rocks was what like well let's just say it's more like a focused sort of thing. Like some of you guys might remember back in 2014 when this whole Hasbro thingy website of the My Little Pony where it's just the rainbow rocks are everywhere. I mean seriously, I remember all the games, some other stuff like meet the characters or I can't really think anything else because there's many other things there. Or maybe like, oh, listening to their songs on the soundtracks. I remember I always listen to this music on that website all the time when I was younger. Sadly, it's no longer on Hasbro, to be honest, because it's kind of disappointing. Because, well, let's just say you can't really blame them. Sometimes every time in the future, the whole thing's just gonna keep changing and changing, and we can't change that, can we? Because we had to get used to the changes. I sometimes don't like changes sometimes, but I do get used to them some of the time. And so yeah, I just remember I always go to the the Hasbro website of My Little Pony or Equestria Girls back in 2014 until sometime 2016 or 15, I would say. Yeah, something like that. And I just remember this moment when I was in high school. I I remember that we had this sort of like after school club, and they have different activities and all kinds like play on the video games on the telly like Nintendo Wii or Xbox 6, I think they called it. Yeah. And there's like toys to play with or drawing or ICT club. And I do sometimes like to go to the ICT club. But I remember that very moment when like I was just minding my own business, going on the Hasbro of the My Little Pony Equestria Girls thingy and listening to the Rainbow Rock songs and that. And I'm also just going to mention I just can't, well, it may think it's personally, but I have to mention it right now, even though even though I'm going to say it, but I'm afraid some boys from that school were a bit mean to me at that time. Well, I can't say his name or anything, but he did kind of say something really mean, like I hate My Little Pony, and I just like give me a break. And then I sort of like had enough of him and telling him off and just to say, if you don't like it that much, then keep it to yourself. I have enough hearing from you saying that you hate My Little Pony. And using the word hate is the strongest word ever, and I hate that word. But yeah, if you guys remember what that I mentioned that word sometime before, but don't get me wrong, but yeah, so I just don't like that word that much. Um, okay, let's not get too personal here, Kayla Sparkle. Okay, so, um, okay, I can't think anything else here. So, I kind of like this very first Equestria Girls movie, the about Twilight, which if it, Princess Pony Twilight, when she went to the human world and where she discovered like sort of like when she meets the human versions of her friends, and where she had to get well get well have their her friends to help her to receive her crown back. And after the way she explains and tells them the whole truth at some time in the very end of the movie, I'm actually kind of proud of her for telling the truth instead of keeping it to yourself. Because bottling things to yourself about some things, sometimes you just got to let them all out. If you guys remember this episode from season 7, episode 2, was still was bottling her emotions about Trixie. Ugh. Kind of felt bad for Trixie. I mean Starlight, sorry. But can I just be honest? I kind of think Trixie is a bit a jerk in that episode. I mean, she didn't even say sorry one bit. Every time she makes a joke out of things to Starlight Glimmer. But until she realized how she, her behavior and all sorts, and then she did kind of say sorry at the very end, and Starlight did kind of forgive her. But if I was Starlight, I don't have to forgive her that easy. I'll just take my own time. I mean, some of you may agree, or some of you may won't, but it's okay. So, that's all I'm saying. And I also kind of like these two ships that some of you may like. Flashlight, and you can easily guess who that name belongs to. Flash Sentry and Twilight Sparkle. Well, the pony Twilight, of course. Because if you guys remember my video of it, then I'm absolutely sure that you guys have seen it. So, but I also kind of like Timber Spruce and Twilight Sparkle, well, side Y. And I also kind of like Rarity and Spike. Well, only for the My Pony. But having a dog having a crush on a human, I would say creepy. Okay, well that's just my opinion. So yeah, and I also like the other ships, with Cadence and Shining Armor. I think they're kind of cute together. Although they are married after season 2, and they have a baby, Flurry Heart, in they did. Well, if you guys remember this episode, the way Pinkie Pie knows from season 5, where Pinkie Pie has to keep the sort of baby secret to herself, and she was like freaking out, I can't do this with anymore, like that. And I can't really blame Pinkie, but to be honest, I just think, why can't she just I don't know, but even though it's not really up to Pinkie Pie to tell her friends, but I have to be honest, I think the others were too hard on Pinkie. I mean, the way they keep persuading her to tell them what the problem is, and I actually feel sorry for Pinkie because all the stress about keeping a secret, she can't, even though she did make a promise to, to Mrs. Cake and you know who, Shining Armor and Cadence. And then Flurry Heart did appear from the very first episode of season 6. And when she first introduced, I was like, "Aw, I love Flurry Heart. I want to hug you." Well, don't blame me, but I know some of you might do the same thing. Imagine having a real pony in your house. To be honest, I do like ponies, the real life ponies, of course, not just My Little Pony, for obviously. So, that's all I'm saying. And if you guys remember about my sort of reason about the Twilight Sparkle, I kind of like three versions of Twilight, to be honest. The pony Twilight Sparkle, well, and and herself as the Equestria Girls, of course. You know, the human, pony version of the human Twilight. You guys know what I mean. And I also like Sideway. It's kind of hard to choose between those three of Twilight Sparkles, even though they are the same characters but share the same name. But if you guys think about it, Sideway is not the same person as the Pony Twilight for obvious reason, because we all can tell that by that she wears glasses. And she isn't an alicorn either. She's actually a unicorn. If some of you might remember this other thingy Equestria Girls sort of special called Spring Down, I think it's called. It's kind of funny, to be honest. It's almost a bit like the actual film called Titanic. If some of you guys have seen that film, then you obviously know what I mean. And I have seen the film myself, actually. And every time I watch that movie, it's kind of like sad, good, and everything else at the same time. But obviously, it's kind of sad because it's actually based on a real life events back in 1912. So it is kind of sad, isn't it? So, and it's okay to feel remorse about that. But don't worry, because it's pretty normal to be, remorse when watching a movie that is very sad. So that's all I'm saying. So, so let's just say I've always have been a huge fan of My Little Pony, like I keep saying, forever. And to be honest, so let's just get to the point that My Little Pony may not be everyone's favorites around the world, but believe me or not, but there are some men who seem to like My Little Pony, and I believe they call themselves Bronies. To tell you guys this, I actually support those men who likes My Little Pony, or maybe love My Little Pony. And I don't really blame them for liking My Little Pony, but sometimes I think some of those who judge those bronies like in a bad way, I think are being too hard on those guys. I mean, I don't want it to offend you guys, but I really think you should stop being so mean, stop being so aggressive towards the bronies, because it's just not nice. And I actually kind of find it a bit selfish, to be honest, treating men like very in a disrespectful way, just because they like girl stuff or My Little Pony. I mean, come on, guys! Why can't you just give them a break? Like, let's just say, give some other people, including myself, a break, because some of us may like watching cartoons rather than watching stuff that's for our age. But believe me or not, but I do watch cartoons in my spare time, even though I am 22. But the thing is, I think people just need to learn to, that you can't always expect people to watch things of what you want them to watch. I mean, can I just say, it's clearly up to us who want to watch it, That's all I have to say, and I'm not going to say any more about that. So, but like I said just before, that I will always support men who love My Little Pony no matter what. So If you can't handle it, keep it to yourself. That's all that matters. And I also going to mention some things like maybe some of my favorite episodes for My Little Pony. Oh yeah, you might like some of the episodes that I might mention, like the very beginning of the series. It's just called Friendship is Magic. So yeah, I just kind of like that episode. It's just so interesting of how they introduce the characters, what's the story is about. And I actually kind of liked how the storyline goes about Princess Luna was being turned into a nightmare moon, her evil side of herself. And I still can't believe a princess got turned into a villain. It's kind of a bit confusing, to be honest. But I kind of glad to see Luna reformed. I mean, even though she was a bit evil in season 1, I mean, when she was Nightmare Moon at that moment. But we can't possibly blame her, really, because she did have a tough life when she was young and all of that. And maybe she just needs a bit of attention or something. Maybe, I don't know. That's just my guess. And to be honest, I do kind of find very sorry for Luna. I mean, sometimes some of you may agree or may not agree, but I think Celestia should give Luna a bit of a chance back in, something like that, in one of those 100,000 years ago. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So that's my favorite episode. Friendship is Magic. And I also like the episode about let's see. Maybe I also like the Apple Box season. From season 1. I kind of find that episode very funny. Some of you might remember my video of the funny scene where our Jack just crashed Rainbow dashed into the air, which kind of caused Rainbow crash into Twilight's outside balcony. And I know exactly the words. Can I help you? I think some pony else need your help. Jack. Yep. Yeah, something like that. That's all I kind of have to say. To be honest, I kind of like doing this kind of thing. Role playing while watching an episode or something. But don't get me wrong, because I'm not the only one who does that. Everyone can do that sometimes. Like my best friend Sophie, or my other friend, even though I didn't actually met him, but I just know him from YouTube, and that is with a dude. He told me he usually can sometimes like to roleplay with his little sister, and I actually kind of find that very cute. A brother and sister roleplay together. I would say it's kind of cute. Yeah. Oh well, that's my favorite episode too. And I also like the other episode called Green Isn't Your Color. Yeah, I kind of like this episode. Where it's about Fluttershy got sort of this sort of attention from photo sheets, and Rarity is kind of a bit jealous about that, but I can't really blame her. But I think the way she acts in the episode is kind of a bit, with a candlelight wedding. When Shining Armor and Princess Cadence first came on the screen, and I kind of find them very cute together, actually. And the way that they sharing and sharing their love for each other. So sweet. And I also like this very first episode of season 3, the Crystal Empire. I just kind of found that a bit little scary at the time when I first watched that episode. That evil King Sombra. Oh, I hate that guy. He's such an evil crook or something. Well, that's just my opinion. Um, so, um, mm, well, I never really liked King Sombra. He's just so evil. What kind of name is that? Sombra? Okay. I think I might be over the top a bit here, aren't I? So, that's each on my favorite episodes, and I also like some other episodes from season 4 with, oh yeah, you might remember I mentioned that sometime before, somewhere in the middle of my video. I did mention Twilight Time. So let's just say I kind of like that episode. It's just so good, and it's kind of funny. If you guys remember when I mentioned about Twilight eating a burger with full of ketchup sauce. Yeah, like I said, in a McDonald's. Aha! I just think I remember something else here. Okay, I kind of remember, even though I forgot to mention this, but I'm going to mention that I have my very own Equestria Girls books and My Pony too. So I don't know the names of each of the books, but I remember. Well, I can easily remember the Equestria Girls ones because it's got the same name as the movies. Like, except for the first one, the first Equestria Girls film, because in the book version, it's not just called My Pony Equestria Girls. It's actually called My Pony Equestria Girls Through the Magic Mirror. It's kind of a bit sounds enchanting, to be honest. When I heard that, when I saw that word on the book. And I also have Rainbow Rocks, the main event. That's just like the first thing, before the actual Rainbow Rocks. I don't know if some of you might have the same book as I have, but the main event is kind of based on some of the events, like few months, like before the actual Rainbow Rocks happens and all that. Yeah, something like that. And I also have Friendship Games. Oh, and The Legend of Everfree. And I also have this other Equestria Girls book, and I don't know if you guys might remember this, but I remember this other book, something to do with a sleepover, which was, it's sort of like based on the events after the whole thing, Friendship Games, where Sideswipe meets the other Twilight Sparkle and something Shimmer explains to her and all that. And Sideswipe was struggling to, get to know everyone from the Kinsler High School. And I'm sorry if I spoiled it to you guys if you haven't read that book yet. So yeah. Okay. There's so many things to talk about here, but I don't want it to bore you to death, no, can I? So it's okay if you're interested in my interviewing or reviewing or something like that. I just kind of interesting on talking about facts, about my own facts about something that I really like to tell you guys because all of you are my friends. So that's all I'm going to say. And I hope you guys enjoy my video. And if you've got any sort of questions about Malapini or Equestria Girls, you can always be free to do so in the comments. And if you're new to my channel, please be free to subscribe, leave a like, and press the notification bell to receive my video every day. I'll catch you guys very soon, and like I said, Kate and Sparkle out.